Well, hello there, and welcome again. Here we are on another art jam, doing some more classic speed painting, classic digital speed painting. So yeah, I had a few kind of vague ideas in my head today of what to paint. So one of them, thinking I really want to do a portrait with some really dramatic lighting. Another one, I kind of want to, similar to how yesterday we were painting kind of a character diorama, I think it's called. I don't know, like a minifig almost, like a character on a textured stand, right? That people do in real life with the little miniatures and miniature paintings and stuff. I'm kind of liking that direction for concept art in general, so I'm also thinking of, as well as doing some kind of dramatically lit portrait, I want to do some kind of cubic cutout, kind of like a train set, like a miniature train set style design for something, maybe something with water in. But yeah, so we'll see how good that kind of method is for environmental design with speed painting. We'll give it a go. But yeah, first, let's just work from a portrait. Yeah, like I say, I want to do a portrait with really nice dramatic lighting. Maybe some stippled sunlight. I don't know what the word for it is. Excuse me, just sneezing. Yeah, I wanted some kind of metal, I don't know, I'm feeling like metal flakes, metal shingles around here. Maybe it's part of the armour. And that's where some of the interesting lighting and shadows is going to come in. Yeah, I kind of like that. Guess we're doing a bit more of a detailed sketch of this one than usual. Might be good to get the likeness correct, although there's still going to be some edits and some messing around. Give her some hair, maybe. Not sure exactly what haircut to go with. I kind of want long hair. This never makes sense with armour, I feel like. Always looks like it'd be super awkward. Wow, this is actually coming out quite cool. Maybe we'll just do it as kind of like a noble armour. I don't know. See how it turns out. Kind of a more pronounced cheekbone than that. Maybe we can do some furs here or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what kind of style this costume's going to end up as. We'll see how it goes. I'm just going to go with kind of instinct for now. I don't know why, I just kind of want to get these spikes in first just because they're kind of framing the image. I don't know how I'm going to play off of them. Like I say, a lot of speed painting is just starting off, you know, almost as if it was a kind of like a child's painting. You know, you can start so simply. You can see we're just starting with block colours here, literally. A lot of the alla prima mindset, as long as you've got that. You know, trying to be efficient with your strokes. But really, like I always say, it just comes down to trial and error. That's all it is. All this technique is, you don't have to paint with trial and error, but especially the speed painting method is very trial and error heavy, that's for sure. You're using the malleability of digital painting, the ability to paint over itself over and over again. You're using that and many attempts at painting over your previous brush strokes, and you're selecting the ones that you select, the ones that you like, you don't paint over, and that's the selection method, really. You can see I have so much faith in that. Literally, I often even just erase straight over a lot of things because I know it can kind of be rebuilt. And I also only work in kind of one layer because I'm just trying to trust that one layer will sort of equalise itself out. It will all be open to that process of selection. See, we're kind of getting it here, but I wanted more dramatic lighting, so I might just try and rapidly change it to that. Let's see what we can do. I'm just trying to think in my mind. Kind of lighting on that. I'm just going to grab that as shadow, and we're just going to try and get an interesting shadow pattern here, and then we'll put like a secondary light. I'm just trying to think what direction I want the primary light to be coming from, honestly. It's the tricky part. Something like that. Sorry, that's my phone going off. Yeah, that's kind of looking a bit more dramatic. I can see that. Something like that. And then, you know, like I said, I'll put maybe some kind of strong secondary light there, and maybe that can be cold light. be anything that's sort of in the shadow pointing down to the right. I don't know where the cold light's coming from, but we'll figure something out. So you see we've got kind of a pattern here now. Describes front, back and sides of the face planes, roughly. Just thinking about the nose. I think we should do some shadow on the cheek here, and the nose should be more like a triangle sticking out like that. We just got to figure out how to shape that and sculpt it back into a kind of more recognizable face. It's kind of the messy stage here. Something really bright and warm. I don't feel like this blue light's working out very well on the jaw here. Gotta figure that out a bit. So much that needs to change as well in the likeness, especially the hairline. Did I dare you there with the hairline? Oh, I was gonna do like light ashen hair. Should we change the hair back to light coloured, or should we keep it dark? I think I'm gonna keep it dark because I want the face to be kind of. I might make the face even paler. I want it to really be like a bright element in a dark surrounding. But then again, it's going to be hard to do that and have dramatic lighting. Let's see how it goes. Head's definitely too big for now though. I'm going to end up with this endless shrinking game again like yesterday. It does happen a lot with heads as well when I paint heads. It just gets smaller and smaller. I have to keep making it larger again. Yeah, we're going to push the lighting further. I want actual purple in the shadows. Something really pearlescent in the lights. I wanted to really push it. Yeah, something almost green in the lights, maybe even. I don't know. Keep it as is for now. This can take a lot of sculpting. I feel like I'm gonna have to wrestle this for sure. Let it begin. Start by just getting some more darks around there. I'm gonna try and just rapidly shape the face here. It's gonna be a lot of big changes coming, I think. I'm going to try to stay true to the image that I kind of had in mind as well with this one. Just give that a go. Rather than kind of letting it wander and trying new ideas. Let's get these metal kind of flakes that I was thinking of originally. Oh, sorry, it's changed my tool to the colour picker. It always does that. Let's just get some facial features on, like eyebrows, to ground it. These are really just temporary placeholders, but let's see. Well, they will be incorporated into the final thing. But you can see they're much further ahead in detail. They're much more detailed than anything else in the piece. They're way ahead of where they should be because they're being used as placeholders. Okay, so we've got our shadow pattern without a secondary light there. Let's just try and introduce some of the blue if it'll allow it. It needs to be brighter. Change the shape of the face a little bit too. Just gonna get the top of the eyes in as well. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, we've still got a lot of shaping to do, I feel like. Did she have a fringe in the original drawing? I don't think she did. Just some hairs kind of like that, right? And again, they're way higher detailed than they should be. They really should be just seen as a placeholder. I'll be painting over them pretty much now anyway. We'll figure out the shadows in the neck at some point. We need to figure out how we're actually gonna design this. I think I might actually want the neck and shoulders to be kind of visible. For this one, I did have an idea of kind of like a costumed figure, maybe standing with some kind of like scepter or something. So we could still try that. I've got to stick to the normal kind of anatomy. Shoulders are going to be maybe about that wide. For now, it's just really a bit of a bust, I suppose. Not sure how I'll finish off the bottom. Let's just see how it goes. Maybe a bit like that, not sure. starting to come together a little bit. I've only been going for 20 odd minutes. I suppose that's why it's called speed painting, eh? I drastically changed the show for this one. Yeah, this is looking very, very kind of almost elemental. I might want a few more pixels soon. So I think I'm going to want to do very high detail. See how it goes. I think I might have overdone it on the nose there by doing an actual line. More of a dot. Just going to play with the proportions of the head here as well. There you go, you see we've got more dramatic lighting, but now we've got some kind of lighting we've got more to control. That's why you slowly layer it on. You've got to kind of lay one layer of lighting on and then figure that out. And lay the next. Everything's kind of in these stages. Just going to use the blur brush to try and get rid of some of these brush strokes. See, it's kind of a case of getting elements there and then shaping them until they look just right. Nothing will start out looking how you intend it to finish looking out. Remember to try and zoom out as much as you can, really. Make the whole process easier there. Yeah, it shows how much detail you've got to go sometimes. But yeah, there would kind of be some lighting on the eyelashes there. Just we're way too early for that. I'm going to try and get this to the highest level of detail we can get it to for now. And I might make it larger so we've got a few more pixels to play with. Let's do that right now. "36 minutes in, I don't think we're looking too bad. I can't wait to paint this, some of these kind of cubic landscapes as well that I've got in mind." Welcome, Night Ninja. Made it in time. Yeah, good to know, man. Don't know if we'll be seeing you on the canvas. Just kind of been winging it today. Not really any kind of category or a subject in specific. We're just doing some doodling and some drawing. I have no idea if these pieces of metal around this woman's portrait are going to be like armor or what. I like the idea of it being a kind of strange avant-garde style costume, futuristic kind of thing. That's the eraser. Yeah, welcome to the canvas. I'm excited to see what you've got for us today. I'll turn the chat window on in Hey, it does actually work. Yeah, I tried to get. I didn't realise I really need to get a chat window because otherwise, on both platforms, you can't see the chat. I don't know. There's too many things you got to do now on the internet all at once. Just trying to start out small. Stream on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube in both vertical and short all at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all trace. I'm gonna get rid of the little hint of her neck back here. Maybe I'll have it so she's wearing a bit of a turtleneck. I often do that to kind of get away from the seam in armour. Kind of issue of where does their neck and shoulders plug into the actual armour itself. I don't know, or I could just properly do see what it looks like if we just do a full-on neck and shoulders. Feels like an arrow could get through though, you know? If it is armour, that is. Maybe we give it like chainmail. Even that would be kind of a turtleneck style, I feel like. Normally what I imagine it as is they're just wearing kind of chainmail underneath, and then I get away with making it really dark coloured. I'm going to use the blur brush a little bit here. The face at the moment, because it's so high contrast, but also not much work in it, it's hard to kind of wrangle everything into looking just right. There's some bits here. Sometimes I do this, try to make a sharp line where there shouldn't be one. On the side of the nose is one of them. I think that's quite a common one in general. Probably not just for me even. I don't know. That little Y shape in the eye socket, that's the one I'm always not quite understanding. Just minimise it, I guess. The good thing about blur brushes in digital is you can get that perfect mathematical transition, you know. You can really almost get things to look like a 3D render if you work on them enough sometimes in digital. But then again, you can get that in like oil as well. But oil you can get that perfect, almost mathematical transition as well. Oil just blends so well. Not that I'm much of a blender. Over painting oil, I'm more, not that I have much experience in it, but I try to do more solid shapes and stuff, more like Sargent I suppose is who I'd probably take inspiration from. Yeah, we're getting something here, it's looking like something. Very soft lighting that we've ended up with, which is the most difficult kind, I feel like. That's what we wanted. We wanted a portrait today with some really nice complex lighting. And we're gonna get it. This is really when we're pulling out the blur brush. She looks almost kind of disappointed. She looks like the Steve Buscemi a little bit at the moment. Yeah, the trick is with oil being messy. Oil pastels, I don't know, I haven't used. I kind of like them. You can see some people will get really good at blending them. With oil paint, the trick is to get a glass palette. You just need a glass palette and you're all good then. Cleans up way easier. You just sit, when you're done painting, you just and get blue paint, blue like builder's tissue roll, and then whenever you're done painting, and by the way, oil, you can do an oil painting over like maybe 3 or 4 days and the paint doesn't dry up in that time. It's That's like one of the biggest perks of oil painting, really. So you can just keep that palette out for like 3 days, you know, work on your painting, and just make sure that every 3 days, or if you haven't finished your painting, then you just wipe the paint up with a piece of tissue and chuck it in the bin. And oil in a home studio like that can be super convenient and easy. And actually, I'm probably just trying to sell it to myself at this point, because I've got a few oil paintings that I want to do, but I just haven't, you know what I mean, given myself the kick to start them up. But I've got a few ideas brewing. I need to get some really big oil canvas panels is the thing, so I'm wondering how to get them delivered. And I want to do some work. That's the thing with oil painting, you need to, if you really want to, especially if you want to do a Sargent type approach, and I think if you look at Sargent's paintings, they're quite large. You need a large canvas, you need large canvases for oil. That's why I probably have so much more experience in gouache than oil. Not that I have that much in gouache either, to be honest. But yeah, gouache is good. If you use gouache on Bristol board in particular, it's like super duper smooth paper, like really almost waxy smooth. You can do quite small paintings that are very, very high detail. Yeah, if you're used to watercolor, gouache it's just amazing. It's perfect. It's like, well, it is just watercolor, but you can get it to be slightly thicker while still being super water soluble. So you can paint white over any other value, and it will paint a really opaque. Is it opaque? Layer of white. Very good. It's I've heard a couple of people say, and I agree, that it's very much like digital. Gouache is probably the most like digital. I don't know if I'd say oil is a little bit more like digital, but I don't know. Gouache, the ability to just paint over itself it's really good. It's very satisfying, gouaches. Like I say, it's exactly the same as watercolor in every way, except it can paint over itself. You know, that's a huge amount of malleability. I've been thinking of watercolor pencils as well, actually, lately. Might give them a try. You see people do the most convenient medium that I've seen for like hyper realistic and really realistic pictures in general out of painting and drawing is colored pencils. Those are like the most naturally realistic because they're so precise, I feel like. Excuse me. So I feel like that mixed with being able to use the pencils like watercolor to blend them, it's got to be a winning combination, hasn't it? Struggling to get this really nice soft transition on the nose here. Something needs to change. Yeah, I'm gonna get the liquify brush out. I'm gonna do a bit of that. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that as much. Oh no, I don't know. I've never been too fond of pencils and of drawing in general, and I'll tell you for why. For me, I see things very logically, and for me, pencils are really great, but to me, a pencil feels like a paintbrush, but you can't make it larger. You know, it's like, if I draw in digital even, I just use the round brush for everything. So it's exactly the same, right? But if I do a drawing, it's just like to me, it feels like trying to paint. But it takes so much longer to do everything because you have to kind of slowly. I guess it can be more therapeutic sometimes, and I do still very much enjoy drawing. But yeah, it's the time length. I'm just an artist in a rush. I feel like a lot of the time. pencils have the best results for sure. They're the most precise and detailed. Like I say, the most, you know, seems like the most convenient material for really hyper-realism is pencils like graphite or in coloured pencils. If you go and look at coloured pencil drawings, they rival paintings hard, you know. Just the amount of detail you can get out of them and still have so much vibrance and colour accuracy, and it's obviously one of the most convenient materials. There's no messiness at all. Need to learn it myself, really. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then I used to do that. I used to just try and draw smaller, but it's good. You can get away with it on, like I mentioned, papers like Bristol board that are really smooth. But as soon as you've got textured paper, trying to draw small, you end up realising that you can't quite get the details in it that you wanted, just from the texture of the paper being too large. If that makes sense. But yeah, if you like drawing small, I recommend Bristol board. It's super smooth. And I'm just shaving off more and more at the back of this woman's head. Don't know when I'm going to get to to a size that I like. Oh, that was the eraser. I didn't mean to do that. Going even further. Proportions are you're never truly finished with your proportions. You can always change them. Can never be sure. I feel like maybe her jaw like strangely low. Should be more like that. Yes, I think it should be more like that. A little bit higher up even. We're gonna have to figure out the source of this blue light at some point. I feel like the blue light's gonna have to be shining on her hair here. Oh, there you go. Maybe if we ever take this up to really high resolution, we can do kind of a wide aperture blur effect on his face. Of how the liquefied brush just makes all the strands look wavy. There you go. Alright then. I feel like I have managed to get the light, kind of the lighting effect that I wanted to practice here. I'm happy with that. Just wondering about pushing it into more detail. Let's see, maybe I feel like if I do, I want to shrink the armor a little bit. Oh wow. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Selects everything. Yeah, grab all this stuff that's around her. And shrink that down. Something like that makes more sense. Come on, and let's give her a few more pixels. A little bit larger. See, that's why we have the secondary light as well over here. So you can just subtly suggest what the shape of things are in the shadows, even without the light. I mean, it's all just made up at the end of the day anyway, to be fair. There's no real such thing as secondary light, it's just the lighting scenario. But I think sometimes thinking in terms of theatrical lighting certainly make it much easier to understand a lot of pieces, a lot of the simpler pieces like portraits or figure drawings or what have you. I'll always make those easier, those subjects. It's tough figuring out just this little shadow here underneath the bottom lip. It should be one that kind of fades in like that maybe. And it's also being kind of simultaneously cut off. It's a little bit better there like that though. We can give her some eyes, maybe green eyes. It's just going to be a tiny hint of it, really. The more details we get in, the further we go on the march. So it's making it more and more believable. When in doubt, when things don't quite look right, blur brush sometimes can save it magically somehow. Sometimes you've just done things too sharply and you just need to have done them in the same. You've got the right shape, but it just needs to be blurrier. I feel like that's very common with faces. Sometimes the problem is just that the edges are too sharp. Very easy pitfall to fall into, I feel like. Is this going well enough? They're very bright and colourful. I think it's a Monday today, isn't it? Sometimes I check how many art jams there are just before I start up. I think there was less today than the weekend. Seemed like a really busy weekend actually. There's 130 people on now. Maybe we've got some chance of some other people joining us. Right then, lighting and contrast. Let's see, because I can already see this this painting needs some playing with levels wise. I think that looks a bit richer maybe. Yeah, there you go. Properly brings out the colours, literally. I feel like some of this blue light should be making it onto the chin, really. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, there you go. Still feel like maybe her hair needs reshaping just a tiny bit in somewhere. Maybe her hairline is just not quite right, you know, actually. Try something radical here. There's only so much liquify brush you can do before it all starts looking weird and blurry. There you go, I'll just say she's got curly wavy hair, I guess. But yeah, I think that's a bit of a better hairline, a bit more suiting. I think this hair should really be coming down like this. Yeah, I always struggle with hairstyles. It's literally just because of the hairstyles. It's like to paint characters. You've also got to be able to be a hairdresser. You know, you've got to have the skills of a barber almost. At least in as much as knowing about all the different hairstyles and how the hair exactly is cut. Just do this bit of a shadow from the hair on that side of her face as well. Yeah, it really is. Often I just try and use as much suggestion as possible in it. Or I just sort of flatten it out almost. Like it just a bit less detailed. Problem is, it wants to be more detailed than the other stuff in the composition, but if you give it that detail, then it ends up looking strange. You know, you can't have one part of the composition that is way more detailed than the rest of it. So I think learning how to simplify hair and suggest it and to paint it with looser brushwork is the way to defeat it. Same with anything that kind of wants more detail than the stage would allow it. For me, the real issue with the hair is hiding the shape of the head. And then I end up chasing the shape of the head loads. Just got like a giant mega mind or like half of a head car. Never quite find the right shape. Oh. I'm going to keep this stuff around at a low detail. We'll just keep this as a portrait and maybe move on to something else in a second. Shrink its size a little bit. Whenever I do these paintings, it can never be done in the first couple hours. I always end up coming back after like an hour or two of not having painted on him, making the real changes, like the last few adjustments, you know. I do have a theory that maybe you can't complete any largish painting in one sitting. You have to be able to come back and see it with fresh eyes, at least at some point during the painting, right? At least if you haven't got a reference. I'm gonna shrink her head again. Because why not? Let's go for it. Oh. Maybe, I wish I could change the way that the box is. I feel like I just did nothing because I made it small. I made it shorter and narrower. I'm sure there's like a way to do it. There you go. Maybe that might help. Is that better than it was? Yeah. I feel like maybe liquefy brush would have been better. It's like the top right of her head was too large. Too difficult. Minute measurements that you need for portraits. Yeah, that looks much better now. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one as is then. Let's try the cube. I'm gonna try second painting today. I want to do some kind of cubic landscape. First of all, actually, let me erase all this clutter I've left around the canvas. Okay. So yeah, some kind of cube. I was thinking of having it kind of contain a landscape with some water and lily pads and a boat even. It's going to be hard to kind of get the scale just right. Let's do just a little boat back here. A little like fishing boat or something like that. Some lily pads creeping up to us and a couple trees. Yeah, I think that actually kind of works. Maybe we can fit some kind of I don't know, like just some planks of wood leading out to the boat or something like that. And that kind of works. Okay, let's paint that in. I think this is going to be actually quite interesting. just going to do the side here of the land where you can't really see it. I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to do it slightly grey rather than just straight up black. That way I can do a slightly lighter grey on this edge and really get that cube look. Except I haven't included a layer of water to get the water in. There you go. I'm doing a blue that's very close to green there. More of a turquoise. A brighter blue here. And the brightest blue on the top. The sun's hitting it. I'm going to try to do a reflection of the sun and the mountains here now. Something like that. I really want the translucent. I really want the water to be like super translucent when we're done, so it's like you can see into it. Yeah, something like that. It's not looking bad actually. All right, the boat in, little dark brown boat. I'll make it just a little smaller in scale than that sketch. Just like that. Little hole in it. Okay then. And it's going to be obviously a lot of earthy values, but I think it's going to be quite muddy really. Plus stones here and there. It's going to get more and more stony as it gets to the water, I think. It's going to be more and more pebbles. Do kind of pebbly values there. And as usual, this is really just a colour palette. Again, just the right-ish colours where they should be. Keep mixing these greens and browns for the muddy areas and the grassy areas. Of course, we want to do the actual trees themselves. Trees are going to have some darker values than most of the grass is going to get to have. And that's what's going to make them stand out. This is looking quite cool. It is indeed looking a bit like one of those model train dioramas. It'd be interesting adding some details and textures into the grass and the trees and stuff. Oh, always loves doing that, making my brush into the colour picker tool. I'm going to do the planks leading up as well. I'm going to keep them. That might look quite cool. Do some harsher sunlight coming in on the grass over here now. Maybe this is where we can start to add some actual grass. I don't think we're ever going to see each individual grass strand, but we can add some noise to kind of represent each individual grass strand. Just want that noise to become more visible the closer things are as well. Really give the feel of distance. There you go, you see we've got something of a texture built up quite fast there actually. We need to put some bigger boulders down at the bottom, I think. This is going to be a really nice scene, I feel like. So often I'm, every scene that I paint has to have some kind of character in it. This is the first time I'm, in a long time, or it's one of the very rare times today that I'm painting something that doesn't actually have any, motile life in it. No people, no even animals or what have you. Maybe we'll paint some stuff with some animals in. It's nice to just paint nature though, you know. Or what I mean is more like environments and scenery. Just as important as characters, isn't it? So much abstraction here that I'm just kind of getting in there and then, you know, figuring out what it should be later. See about getting some of these lily pads in. Some of these I'm only drawing a little bit because the rest is going to be loads of light on it. I feel like I might have done these a bit too face down. Should be slimmer, more like ovals. There you go. It'd be just the thinnest lines really back there. Lily pads here maybe. We're gonna get a really bright, warm green. Just kind of do the light that's on them. I might have gone just a little bit overboard on the brightness there, so we're going to turn them down a little bit. Like that. I'm actually just going to get blue and paint over them because I feel like just a bit too high contrast really. Something more like that. Some more grass here if there's lily pads as well. It's actually quite therapeutic. It's kind of like you can just build your own little habitat, little island in a cube. Might play with some of the exposure settings in just a second. Just feel like I want to get this grass a little bit brighter first and give that a go. Just gotta do it in a very stippled way. There's gotta be plenty of texture wherever the bright pieces of grass are. Kind of like rolling hills, if that makes sense. isn't looking too bad over here. A portrait and kind of like an alien portrait maybe coming on. It's very cool. Right then, yeah, let's give it a go with the filters. And just select it so I don't filter the woman we painted earlier. It's not the right one. Alright. Yeah. Just looking for something that shows off these values, or sorry, shows off the colours a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. Like I always say, just it looks like the other light switch has been turned on. Brightness and saturation filter. Can't be slept on. Man, one thing I do know is that I'm going to avoid painting grass in future. Man, this is like ultimate hand cramp, honestly. Trying to paint all this. I'm not exactly trying to paint each individual strand, but trying to paint with some kind of texture, you know. Maybe this is why I should get a bit more of a noisier brush as well. Probably paint this sort of texture a lot easier with a lot less hand cramp. That looks a lot better there though, doesn't it? Now that I've gotten a bit of darkness in there to contrast. Looks really fluffy. Do really need to do like some of the spots where it's really, really bright as well. The dew on the grass is kind of catching the light. That's what we need here. Just a couple of little bright spots thrown into the soup. This soup of abstract values that we've got going. Yeah, it's looking about right. Kind of have ended up doing pretty much every strand of grass separately here. It's quite cool though. Yeah, I think we'll definitely use this this method of designing environments in future. I don't know how we can combine this with some of the other stuff we do, but you know, we could do like haunted castles or dungeons or something like that, and you know, we could even do our kind of space. You know, imagine kind of designing space like a space moon base this way. Just this kind of cross section of the moon. Do you wonder about what kind of scenes, interesting scenes we could illustrate this way? This diorama type style. Nice and sharp. Wow, well, the water turned out pretty nicely. Better than expected even. I don't know if it should be quite bright here on this corner or maybe quite dark. I think darker on the corner it should be. Still haven't even really done much of the ripples in the water even. Trying to get the water to look like there's just a little bit of light shining through it and out that back surface. Same goes to this side. It's a little bit of really just intuition, really. Trying something, and if it doesn't work, just trying again. So I get kind of a pattern that looks like there's maybe some light shining through that water. With the ripples here as well. The ripples are easy, you just kind of grab some colours that contrast with each other and these sort of striations. Keep a lot of colour abstraction too as you do it, and especially if you keep using the colour picker for the different areas. Do some highlights on the boat, on this wooden boat. it turned out looking pretty nice. We've tried so many new things lately, and I feel like my repertoire of experience and things that we can do is widening for sure. Being used to painting more and more different subjects in more and more different ways, especially pushing down in the concept art direction. I feel like I should be chasing even more lately, even. And maybe we should be looking at doing how to do proper character design and stuff. I know people like talking about OC or whatever it is. You can do maybe some tutorials on how to design characters or something like that. Starting with the silhouette and finishing with an actual render. It'd be really interesting. I feel like these round rocks over here don't fit with the other ones. I'm going to flatten the tops of them. More like this. Yeah, indeed. Gotta love character design. I've been wondering how to fit it into something like these art jams as well. Like we've done, I was really considering doing one of these today. Actually, I've done. What am I looking for? Yeah, here we go. Not this one, but yeah, I have. This is one of them. I've done templates in the past, basically. Something like this could possibly work for character design. This is just doing a painting from 32 and then making it larger and then making it larger and painting into it. And finish with a 128 by 128 painting. Could do something where it's in kind of those 3 stages, but in this template. The idea of this as an art jam is anyone can join the art jam and then double click on one of these templates and just paint straight in it. So I could have something like, silhouette, front, back and render. It's like a basic thing, and then I could run art jams. I mean, obviously you can just use that as a template to paint, on your own documents. But I really like this idea of being able to have an art jam like that and just drag and drop a bunch of those empty templates in for people to take over. It'd be nice to do one for character design, especially because it means I could just sit there and just pump out loads of characters. Maybe I can do kind of a cube one as well for this, actually. A cube environment design template where it gives you just like the outer cube. You can design the land that's inside of it. I'll definitely do that as well, I think, as well. Yeah. It's hard to come across these ideas, but when I do, I can just milk them for so much, I feel like. The only thing is, I think people are more likely to join these ones where it's just completely free draw. But I haven't experimented enough to know that, really. I love the scattered light look of this forest here. to refrain from going back and ruining some of the darker areas that I've done there. Oh, These trees are just like the hair from the last one. Just want to get through these. Just want to make them exist. It's too much complexity in their design. Kind of managed to simplify them in a nice stylized way, I feel like. Not that that's normally my style. Normally try and do just as close to traditional realism as I can. Although obviously you never have to land anywhere close, you just have to kind of have that in mind when you're trying to do imaginative realism. And the stylization comes from, you know, what you kind of inevitably can't help but do, I feel like sometimes. Style's a tough one because it's hard to answer the question of whether it really you can adapt to someone else's style, sort of thing. You can imagine someone coming down these steps and using this boat. Nice to kind of have a story to everything you paint, I feel like. The very brightest parts of these trees. There's going to be a little bit of this, I think, mainly towards the tops. And I feel like I really got the water to look translucent. It does look like where people kind of make these resin lakes, like I say, in kind of train sets and stuff like that. Kind of clear resin, and you can even see that they use like a compressed air gun to make the stippled ripples, the waves in the top. Maybe I ought to go on YouTube and watch a couple of those videos, people making those, and might give me a bit of inspiration for our paintings here. Yeah, that's very successful, I feel like. A cube method. This has turned into quite the design. This one over here. Quite a nice turnout. I do wonder what the best days to do the art jams are. Sure, we'll find out which days are the busiest. And I've gone from running these art jams. I don't run them from my actual art jam account anymore. These are actually run from an art space now. So anyone who joins these art jams, they can just look on the art space itself and the author of it. Or sorry, they can look on the art jam itself. And when you look at the author of the art jam, where it normally says who's published the art jam, it actually has the art space there. So anyone can kind of follow that art space and hopefully get notified whenever we do these jams. We got another person, nice. I think we painted together before then. Yeah. Something about this grass that's not quite right, you know? I think it needs more darks worked into it. You can still kind of see the grey background. I don't normally paint grass. It's crazy. I just paint characters and props. You know, for so long that's all of what I've done. So there's so much to learn about painting environments and stuff like that. Just need, and I've been thinking about it today, I just need more, I don't know, I feel like sometimes I need the big projects to drive me, you know, I need to feel like I'm working towards putting together, even if it's just some kind of imaginative universe, some kind of creative universe, you know, like the kind of spacemen and stuff we sometimes paint. It's hard to just paint. It's hard to just paint for the sake of painting. Never been something I'm amazing at. I feel like that's why I don't end up painting a lot of the more boring stuff that you need to learn how to paint, like grass and just calm scenic scenes like this. That made the trees look a lot better, I think. More of a jagged edge. Need a bit more brightness on the side of the trees too. I might just glaze that on. That's the eraser. Always painting with the eraser. Yeah, something like that. Maybe I'll try and do one of these where you can actually really see through the water, like to the bed. Like proper crystal clear water. You see these paintings on ArtStation and stuff as well. It's a little bit of the inspiration for this. You see stuff on ArtStation where it's a bit more zoomed in like this, and then you see kind of the bottom of the boat, and there's not usually a character and some lily pads and stuff. Pretty common one. And often you can see more of the river floor. It's often really interesting. If we can get good at rendering that, then we can do some really pretty pictures. Might use liquify a little bit just on the woman up here. Might something like, not sure what's needed. Yeah, she's just got a bit of a long face, I feel like. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Probably more accurate, I think. I don't know if this grass can stand to get brighter. I'm just going to play with the filter here. Let's have a little look. Play the brightness and contrast once more. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there was. There's a long way that it could go. I feel like I've lost a bit too much detail in the water there, so I'm going to roll it back a little bit. A bit more like that. I think it's just like that even. Yeah, just with the contrast up a tiny bit more. Should just. I feel like I don't want to affect the water. If I do just a tiny bit. I do feel like that's a better brightness for the rest of the piece there. What I could do is that, and then work some water back into it. Some of the detail of the water can be worked back in. But I think I'm just going to leave it. Do a much less radical change. Maybe you could do with going backwards even just a little bit. Nah, yeah, we'll just leave it. I think that's about as good as we can get it with the effects. Maybe I'll just try and copy the grass. See what just editing the grass does for us. All of this area. Sometimes it helps to edit things separately. The water's already been edited once, remember? With this filter. Yeah, there you go. You see, we can just make the grass and everything else a lot more vibrant. So the water's already been done. Wow, look at the change there. It's crazy. It's crazy how much of a positive difference that makes. Just instantly like that. Right then, well, at that point, I think I'm going to sign out. Kind of all drawn out there. I think we're two really successful little doodles. Like I said, we didn't really have much of a goal for this stream, but I do like what we came out with. I think we've learned some stuff. I did get the dramatic lighting I wanted here. Although I think I still need to work on doing some bigger characters. I just need something with more, uniqueness to draw. Something that's more complete. I need to come up with some more character designs and stuff. But definitely the lighting that we wanted has worked out. And this for designing a scene, especially we could do some really nice architecture with this style. I guess we could zoom it out as far as we want. You know, the boat could be as small as we want in the cube. So that's going to be really useful going forwards. And like I say, I'm still thinking about what kind of YouTube videos we'll make and stuff like that. So I really want to go in a concept art, character and environment design kind of level. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that's all for now. And probably be a couple days until I stream again. So I'm going to sign out for now and bye bye.